Hello, everyone, and welcome to Channel Week, a brand new week-long webcast series created to shed light on why and how B2B marketers are mastering channel partner marketing. I'm Sal Soro, publisher at Demand Gen Report, and I'll be your moderator for today's webinar titled Tailoring New Content Models Specifically for the Channel. A little bit about the webinar series is hosted by Channel Market Report and Demand Gen Report. We're sister online media companies, publishing daily news, email newsletters, special reports, videos, original research, and a rich menu of additional resources. Channel Market Report delivers the latest solutions, trends, and information vendors need to maximize their channel sales and partner marketing programs, while Demand Gen Report focuses on strategy and tactics and measurements that are key to generating demand. To learn more, please join our collective community of 75,000 subscribers by signing up for our email newsletters at channelmarketreport.com and demandgenreport.com. We also encourage you to join our LinkedIn discussion groups, Channel Marketer and Demand Gen Specialists. So we're out there, you guys. Got to come find us. In addition to our web series, Demand Gen Report hosts a premier live event in Scottsdale, Arizona every February. It's the B2B Marketing Exchange. It's a 3-day event focusing on helping professionals improve B2B marketing and sales strategies and results. Actually rated top B2B marketing conference by Forbes each year. The B2BMX brings 900 plus marketers together for this event. It's an educational networking event that includes more than 85 sessions through 6 topical tracks, which will include obviously channel marketing and demand gen. You can learn more about this unique event and sign up for updates at b2bmarketing.exchange. We also invite you to become part of our online community of B2B experts. You can connect with like-minded professionals. It's join B2B focused conversations and initiatives, and even compete for some great prizes. You can check us out at b2bmx.influitive.com/join/now. So it's right there. The link is right there on the screen there. So now the ever popular prizes. Throughout this week-long series, we're giving away, hosting a special sweepstakes where attendees win a free ticket to our annual B2B Marketing Exchange or Starbucks gift cards. If you register for a Channel Week webinar, which obviously you did, otherwise you would not be hearing me, you will be automatically entered for a chance to win. And if you attend any sessions live, which obviously you are, because you can hear me, you'll receive a second entry. We'll be giving away 1 Starbucks gift card per session and 1 B2BMX free pass per day. So be sure to attend all of the sessions this week for your best chances to win. So, for today's presentations, we're using the On24 platform, where you can access all the information you need from the platform toolbar. During and after today's presentation, please follow along and share your thoughts and feedback on Twitter and LinkedIn using the hashtag #ChannelWeek. You can tweet directly from the platform with the widget on your left-hand side of your screen. We also encourage you to ask questions throughout the presentation. So to do so, simply click on the Q&A widget at the top right corner of the screen. Today's presentation is scheduled to run about 25 to 35 minutes, with about 10 minutes for Q&A following the sessions. And again, you can submit those questions at any time. Please don't be shy. Always a popular question is today's question going to be recorded? And the answer is yes. We'll be receiving an archive link to review and share with your colleagues. In addition to joining the conversation online, submitting your questions, we also want you to tell us how we're doing. There will be a survey that automatically launches at the end of the series, at the end of the session, I should say. If you really want to get involved and get into that survey quick, you can always click on the button below, and it will launch the survey for you right then and there. So that's it for the housekeeping. Obviously, the speakers today is myself and our friend Dana Harder, who's a VP of Strategy at Content for Demand. Dana helps B2B marketers turn their marketing organizations into demand gen rock stars, and that means helping content for demand clients build and refine their content strategy, all corresponding content, and even their demand gen efforts. While she's not helping her clients build a consistent and scalable content strategy, she's doing yoga, meditating, dyeing her hair an awesome shade of pink or purple, or cheering her son on at the hockey rink. So we're excited to have Dana with us today. So without further ado, I'm going to turn things over to Dana. Dana, it's all set.
Thanks, Sal. I need to update my bio. I have 2 sons in hockey now, so my little one would be offended. Great. All right. Happy Friday, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know we're getting down to our final Fridays in the summer, so I know everyone would rather be out in the sun or spending our last days doing something other than work or probably listening to webinars about content. So I appreciate you joining in. I'm really passionate about channel. A lot of my background is in channel. I spent almost 10 years at an organization running and managing their channel programs on the marketing end. And I have the unique perspective that I was on the reseller side. So I was the lucky one using all of the programs and the MDF funds and the things that all of the manufacturers and, providers who use or resell through the channel. I was that one having to use all of that and figure out what I was going to do. And what I often found is that there was a huge disconnect between what I knew I needed to be doing as a marketer, as channel is, or as content is evolving to be the thing that we all need to be using, and what I was actually being provided from my partners. And so it became difficult always to use the things they gave me. So today I'm really hoping that we can talk about some of the ways we can use content to actually support your channel and not only make them successful, but make you more successful overall. When I started to pull together this deck and I was trying to think of the theme and what images to use, like we all do when we do our PowerPoints, rowing came to mind for me because I think that, and I don't row and I don't know anyone who rows, but it just seemed like a fit for me because everyone really has to work together in order to move the boat. And I think what I see in a lot of organizations as it relates to channel is you guys might have a really robust demand gen center. You might be really moving your content strategy and everything is working really well as you're doing your direct marketing directly to your clients and prospects. But what I often find is that channel's kind of over here living by itself. And often, depending on your type of organization, channel could be your main bread and butter. I mean, maybe it's bringing in 75, 89% of the revenue, and yet they're over there being asked to run events or post some banner ads. And over here, you guys are generating leads and using content and positioning yourself as the thought leader. And so what I'm hoping to do today is talk about how we merge those efforts. And when you can take what you're doing over here and lay it on top of your channel strategy, you're going to find that it's a win-win. So just to talk about our goals for channel marketers, because what I want to do is understand where you guys are coming from, and then let's take a look at the content trends and see how they kind of come together. So, at the end of the day, everyone needs to monetize those partner relationships, and we need to look for the right partners, and we need them to be able to sell. We also need to be able to train them, support them through sales enablement tools. We also need to provide marketing solutions and marketing support to them. How are they going to generate their leads? How do we empower them to generate more leads and more revenue for us? And at the end of the day, how do we make it repeatable? Some of you have hundreds, maybe thousands of partners, and if everything is very customizable to just one partner, it's going to be really difficult to scale and see the results you need to see across all of your partner network. At the same time, if we look at content preferences in the B2B space, and this data that we're going to look at actually comes from our friends at Demand Gen Report and their content preferences study. And if anyone's interested, I can send it to you after the webinar. But when we take a look at what's involved in terms of content trends, we're going to see that a lot of these things are not the things you're probably actively using in your channel support strategy. So case studies were #1 this year, which I don't think is a big surprise, but I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how you can use case studies to not only drive leads for your partners, but to maybe recruit new partners. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. White papers and robust content continually are towards the top. A new one that's inched up this year is blog post. So that's what I'm going to talk a little bit about. How do we use blogs in a channel strategy? What could that look like? And we're going to talk a little bit about an influencer component in that. Analysts and third-party research, that's also going to play in with the analyst point we're going to talk about in ebooks. And when I see ebooks up there, I think what it's just reminding us that, the content that you're creating for yourself, how can we customize that? Or how can we allow our partners to customize that so they're leveraging that same content that you're creating? And then I also pulled this slide because I think it's good for us to take a look at how our content formats trending across the different stages of the buyer's journey. And there's some other trends in here that I think, are going to relate well. Case studies are in a couple of these. We're going to talk about that influencer stuff again. I'm going to talk about repurposing because I think that you guys probably have content you're using on the demand gen side and all of these, and there's easy ways to tweak them for our channel. So we're not always creating net new. The other piece of this, again, is just understanding how we get shorter visual interactive content as we're seeing that come into play into our channel's hands as well. So if we can overlay some of these content preferences we're seeing that we know our buyers want and are craving, and we can do that on top of your goals, we're going to end up with a much stronger strategy than what you have in place. So I break channel into 3 different categories. So when I look at it, I talk about recruitment. How can we recruit more partners into our program? Maybe you don't need more partners. Maybe you're set. Maybe you're just starting out and you need to grow that channel. So we're going to talk about how content can play in there. How do I support my channel? More than just, here's a bunch of sell sheets, tip sheets, literature, brochures, go out and sell. What we know is that many partners are not only selling your product, but they're selling your competition's product. So when I'm going to a client and you want them to put your product in front of your competition, how can I come out ahead? One of the ways is by making sure you're supporting the partner's sales team stronger than your competition. Empower them, enable them, make them feel like a thought leader, make them aware of your product so well that you're the product they think of first when they want to go to market. And then when I talk about empowerment, how, the biggest question I know you all get asked from channel partners, I want more leads. How do I get more leads? Are you going to send me leads, right? This is the biggest question. Everyone asks it. So if we can provide our sales or our channel partners with the right tools to generate their own leads and they're feeling confident that they're getting the leads from this, it's going to change everything for you, just in terms of ease of managing your partner network. So I'm not going to do many more slides. I'm basically going to jump to samples, but my goal today is to help you learn through the use of some content samples, how to grow your partner network with content, how we can help shape your sales enablement with different types of content models, and how can we create campaigns in a box, how can we do repurposing of content, influencers, turning our partners into influencers, things along those lines, and help to generate those leads. So with that, I'm going to jump to samples. And we'll see if this works.
My
I think
fingers
there's
are
a
crossed.
little bit of a lag when I do this, so. All right, as we're giving this a minute to come up. So what I'm going to talk about, so let's start with recruit. So what are these different content models? What are some different creative ways that we can recruit new partners into our channel? When I look at this, I think that, when we hone in, most of recruiting partners can happen at almost what I would call a late stage content asset formats and messaging, right? For the most part, if somebody is a channel partner or a reseller of product, they're always looking for different ways to stay competitive in the space. They're looking for new opportunities to resell different products and stay, on the cutting edge, or to make sure they have the fullest and offering for their clients. So in that case, we're looking at that a lot of our content can really revolve around what's the value add, what's the value prop, what's the ROI, and why would I want to be a partner of yours? And so, a quick and easy way to do some of this is taking a look at your late stage content you're creating over at the demand gen side of the house, and thinking about how do I turn some of this existing content on its head and shift the messaging just slightly to talk to a channel partner. Often, it's very slight tweaks to get here. This piece here is a G book about quick wins you can have with a product. So if I do that and I just shift it a little bit in the messaging, all of a sudden it can be quick wins you can have with reselling my product. The benefit that their clients receive is the exact same as what you're marketing to your end users. So the goal here is just, how do I use what I already have? This piece is also great. This is what we call a G-book. It's highly visual. It looks infographic light. It's easy to navigate. Our channel partners, when we're trying to sell them, they're no different than our buyers. They also want content that's easy to consume, visual, quick reads. They're busy too. They've got to sell to make a living. So how do we make this easy for them to consume as we go through it? The other thing that I think is important to remember is that case studies can play a huge role here in recruitment. This is what we call a case study portfolio. So 5 businesses, 5 brilliant solutions. So, I think we think of case studies in terms of our end users, but what if you could do case studies that talk to your, that are case studies and testimonials of other partners who have been successful reselling your product. Now, I know this gets a little kludgy sometimes because we might have partners who compete against each other. And so why would one person want to give them the insights about attracting their competitor to resell their product? So what I always say with this is, how can I segment my partners in a way that maybe there's a group by vertical. So maybe there's a group that sells to hospitality. And so those people don't mind talking. And then that, that case study portfolio, maybe it applies to hospitality, but they're just talking about the main points that's giving them the edge in their business. And, it's being used over here in a different vertical. So there's ways around some of that. It's not a direct fit, but it's enough to show that partners are being successful reselling their product. This is an interactive piece. And I also just wanted to pull it to show that, again, our partners are people too. They are just like our buyers. So there's ways to use interactive content to help them drill in. Again, it's visual. I think that I look at a lot of channel content and it's very static and it's very, typical sell sheets and brochures. How can I take what I've learned over on the demand gen side in terms of what's effective and bring that over to recruiting new partners? The last piece I want to talk about here is influencers. And I think this is an interesting concept for us, as all of us are probably experimenting, or a lot of us, with influencer content on our demand gen to our prospects. And I always say that influencer marketing is more than just looking for those, big expensive analyst firms that, and that we have to pay a lot of money for to talk about our product or participate in our content. So I always tell our clients, when we look at influencers, they could come in many different flavors. For example, influencers can be our clients. And I'm going to talk to you about how they can be our partners, our channel partners. And I'm going to show you kind of how this could work in the recruitment side and also how it could work in our actual lead generation for our partner side of things. They can be just, people who are experts in the area. And those people don't have to be the big analysts. They can be people who just have a lot of social share or a lot of pull in the space. And often what you find, those are consultants, and often those consultants or those names can be found at some of your channel partners. So thinking about how, who are my influencers, especially in my channel network. Now, what's interesting about this is I want to talk about how this is different than a case study. So maybe your channel partners don't want to talk about how they got a leg up selling your product, or they don't want to totally give the boat away, but maybe they're interested in being a thought leader and standing out and talking about different things. So there's ways to position them as influencers in a way that doesn't set them up to giving it away and talking about all the details that makes them feel like they shouldn't be doing this to attract competitors. So this piece is a little more hard-hitting testimonials, but this was a piece that was created for a client who actually used their partners at their media agencies who resell their product to create a piece talking about how this product gives them a leg up when they're putting together programs for their clients. And so this was really just a piece that goes through and it talks about the word on the street. So what's the word on the street? And it's really simple, quick hit quotes that goes through. Again, highly visual. So again, these could be geared towards, hey, you want to resell this product because. This piece is slightly different in the sense that we've got influencers giving hints about how to be successful in our business. So this is a way that I don't necessarily need my channel partners to talk about, yes, you rah, you want to resell this, but we want to start positioning really great people as thought leaders so that when you're trying to recruit partners, you can see that, hey, look, this company is dedicated to making their partners thought leaders and positioning them in a way that's going to help me sell more product. And again, we're going to retouch on influencers again in a different light. So those are just some quick hit ways that you can use content to recruit new partners. So let's talk about supporting our channel. And I'm a big proponent still of newsletters to our channel, quarterly webinars that, educate on what's coming down the pipeline, new products, all of those things. So big proponent of that. But how do I layer content on top of that? And I've seen some really creative things with our clients in terms of how we're going to support our channel on the sales enablement side. And one of the easiest things to do is to put together these guides. So, whether the guide is directly related to a campaign, whether it's related to a product area of focus, what are those tools that the sales teams need to have at my partner organizations that are going to make them really successful? Remember, they might sell a lot of products and not just in your area. If you look in retail, for example, which is where I had some experience, we might have sold point of sale equipment, but we also sold barcode scanners and printers, and the list goes on and on. But at the end of the day, we were just trying to wrap our services around that. So I had a sales team who had to learn a lot of things about a lot of products and had to be able to do so quickly. So how do we make things visual for them and give them the support they need? So talking about giving them success stories right up front, giving them, this one is great. This one here embeds content in there. There's videos played in here. If we go through this, it actually talks about how do I sell the series. This one is interactive. It's got a quiz in here that I can use to help sell. So we basically loaded content in here that they can use to sell this product. And then even as we get to the back end of this, here's some questions in ways that you may answer them. So discovery questions for prospects, things that you may get pushback on. So this guide is interactive, and this company actually talks to their partners on a quarterly basis and unrolls this stuff out and help support their channel team with these types of assets. The other thing that can be really useful at this stage is a hub or a microsite with information only for your channel. So, this one is actually one that we did for some financial stuff, but just really easily, how can I group all of the content they may need for a specific campaign? Or in this one, if we look at here, the hub is all about the product for them. So, we've got the different products that we can do, and how to do that, and then different links here to different products. So, creating a central location, whether it's a web page that only they can access, whether it's an interactive piece of content that you attach a hub to, putting everything in one place for them makes it really easy. And I know there's a lot of amazing channel technologies that are out there this day. And if you can have a portal and a place like that, that's great. But if you're not there yet, there's some really easy content fixes that can help you, get some sort of centralized hub up and running until you can get to a place where you can have some sort of, more robust channel portal there. So it doesn't have to be an all or nothing yet. You can work towards that, starting small, and still make your partners feel that you've thought about this and you're supporting them until you can get to that next level. So then the last piece that we talked about was, how do I empower my channel with leads and get them the marketing tools and the content that they need to be successful? And as I mentioned earlier, when I was in my channel life, I was getting so many things that it was, hey, I can put my logo on here and it might be a banner ad, or here's an email and you can put this on there, or do an event. All really great things, don't get me wrong. But as I mentioned earlier, a couple things. I also need to be a thought leader in the market, right? As a reseller of your product, I can't just have you be the reseller because I've got lots of resellers I'm competing with. So I need to stand out among them. And I need to be able to do that by also becoming a thought leader, by also using content. And I also, most likely as a reseller, I know some of them are very large, but most of your resellers are probably on the smaller side. So I don't have a marketing team. I'm a one-person shop. Maybe, I know that some of you have partners who have no marketing person. So how do I give them content to make them successful and give them the tools they need to be successful and not make it so simple that it doesn't give me an opportunity to tell my story? So I've got a couple things I'm going to show you. So the one is the idea of a campaign in a box. And I know this is not new in the channel world. We all talk about it. I think that what we forget though is, there's a couple ways to do this that can make this easier. And again, as I said, if you have a portal, it's great. I know there's opportunities to load logos on things and all of that. But what I want us to think is, what is the content I'm putting in there? And how am I doing that? So, I talked about repurposing earlier. One of the first places to look is this content does not need to be new content. You don't have to be creating new stuff just for your channel partners. I was talking to a client the other day, and I know it's so easy, especially in a large organization, to get in our silos. And so we're working over here as a marketing team. My channel organization is here. And I might even sit 3 rows down from, people in the demand gen or content team or my corporate marketing team who's creating all this rich content. And there's this huge disconnect on what they're creating and how and if I can use it. And so the first thing I'm recommending is reuse what you already have. Take a look at the content, talk to your team. What can I repurpose? What can I reuse? What can I take and slightly redesign and just provide a place that my partners can put a logo? So at the very basic level, this is an opportunity. This is an infographic. And for this client, they actually had this campaign that they were running. It was one of their huge initiatives for the year. And they went, okay, so now we have this content. How can I just use it in my channel organization? I don't need to create anything new. This is great content. This is the message we want to go to market with. And so this is an infographic. And this is a really simple fix, right? This was set up so partner logo could go right here. And so then this goes out and I've got partner logos on this stuff. Now, we can even get a little more advanced. This also allows me, this is an ebook from them that, we've got partner logo, but is there an opportunity in an ebook where I can change a piece of the copy to something that's about them, the services, or a sidebar? So thinking about beyond just a logo replacement and go, can there be a sidebar in my ebook that can be customized for a partner? Gives them an opportunity to chime in here and make this piece feel a little bit different for them than it might be for their competition that's also using the same content down the street. So thinking of ways of repurpose and reusing your content, but also allowing your channel to give a voice, or have a voice, I should say. And then the other thing is just making sure, whether you have a portal, you don't, giving them the tools to use the content. So, this one explained how we're going to replace logos and do that. But I've seen these guides in depth of, here's email 1, here's email 2. This is how you should send it. So when we say campaign in a box, it's providing them all the tools. Here's some social that you can use. Here's all of this, all of the items you may need to run a turnkey campaign. And for those smaller channel partners, this is critical to their success because they don't have these tools. They might not have a marketing automation tool. They might, but they don't really know how to use it. How do I find lists? Who should I be marketing to? Those smaller ones, you might have to do some more hand holding. But then, your bigger ones, they may totally have the tools to do this turnkey, and maybe they need less support. But the goal is that if somebody needs more support, you're ready to go with it and you can help them out. The other thing that we're seeing in the area of empowerment and generating leads is, how can I bring my partners together? How can I position my partners as influencers with me side by side so that they are elevated to be these thought leaders. And often these are things they can't do on their own. And so, whether you select them based on their status or just you're giving some opportunities because they've had a great year and they're moving up the ranks, however you decide which partners you want to do, this is a great way to do this. So this client did a whole campaign featuring their partners as influencers. So there were ebooks, there were podcasts, there were blogs, there's a big ebook, there's some really fun interactive pieces. And really what they did is they gave their their partners a voice. And so this is an ebook where quotes are scattered throughout. This is an interactive piece here, which is a really fun one. 6 things they love to hate about their jobs and their answers and how they would fix it. So again, these partners have an opportunity to really shine. And then at the same point, have an opportunity to do a podcast and hear their voice. And in this case, the manufacturer, the person who's got it, is actually doing the interviewing. So you're there with your partner talking together as a team and really positioning this for success. And influencer stuff, it's such a great way to bring them in and to give them a voice. And there's lots of different ways to do that. So I challenge you guys to take a look at that. If you're going to run a campaign this year, how can we do that together? And just to add to that, I'll skip to this one first. So one of our partners, we work with Path Factory together, and this is a little deceiving. It says the channel panel. This is more about the channels in which we use in marketing, so not the channel we're talking about today. But this was great that Path Factory and their partners and us, all the people we partner with to package solutions, we are working together to do a panel discussion. So we've taken influencers here and we're all partners and we're doing a webinar together. And it's actually not even a webinar, it's just a panel where we're all getting together and talking on video. So, thinking of other ways to try something different. And I love this idea because it's not your traditional webinar. And actually just to show you how even more creative it is, we're asking for questions from the audience. So we're not planning. I mean, we have each of our topic areas that we're talking about. I'll be talking about content syndication that day, for example, but it's not scripted. We're waiting for people to come in, have a conversation with us. So a different way to do webinar type format, to give your partners a voice, to position them as a thought leader. All right, so just a few more things here. So the other thing here is, let's talk about case studies again. I know we talked about them at the recruitment level. How can I use my partners and their case studies to share to help recruit more partners? Now let's talk about how I can do case studies or help my partners have case studies to help them generate leads. Now, what's important here is to note is I know often you guys have tons of case studies and it's really easy, say here, you can use these case studies. That's great. But what becomes really more impactful for our partners is if they have a joint case study that they can do. And again, if I have a really small marketing team, it would be great if you can help me pull this together. So, this is a win-win for you and your partner. So if you can come up with a template that's really easy and help them pull together these case studies, these are much more impactful than just giving them your general and generic case studies that kind of cross the board. So think about how you can really help partners personalize, customize, position them as the thought leader. It's going to help them generate more leads, which in turn helps you. All right, so I am going to switch back to our deck here. So that's really what I have for you today. I know I went through some of that pretty quickly. So if anybody has any questions or wants to see any of the samples, my contact information is there. Please reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you about this more. Something I'm obviously really passionate about. So please reach out. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend, and I'm going to pass it back to Sal.
Wow, thanks a lot, Dana. Holy cow, that was some great information. I actually took some notes myself. Look at me. So actually, one of the things I thought was really good that you touched upon was, we always talk about buyer-focused content and actually thinking about your partners as your buyers, which I think sometimes you forget about that. Utilizing existing resources and not reinventing the wheel every time, which I think is great. So using those, the things that you already have, and then obviously using them across for your partners. And making things visual, which is really a really good idea, because again, like you said, there's a lot of information coming out. These folks making it so it's digestible, visual, quick to understand. The newsletter is a great example as well. So, thank you so much for that. We have obviously a lot of some questions that came in. So before I get to those, I need to again obligatory remind you folks to take the survey at the end of the presentation. So this way, it obviously allows us to make the content better for you. So again, understanding that we want to make sure your time is best served. So if there's things that we can change or things that we can make better, we will definitely do that. So, all right, so let's get those questions. The first question came from Nicole. Let me see if I got this. Are there certain formats of content that are better for repurposing for the channel over others? Good question.
Yeah, that's a really, really good question, Nicole. So there are, and I think that, I think when we're talking about recruitment, probably the sky's the limit, right? You're reversioning it one time. And if you need to reversion it at all, right? Maybe the messaging is there and it's good and you can tailor your message in an email and you don't even have to touch the piece of content. But when we get to content that our partners can customize for themselves, you're going to have a few more restrictions there. Interactive content becomes a little more difficult. It's more expensive to customize interactive content. It just takes more time. It's harder to make that as a turnkey. So, often what I'll see clients do is if they have an interactive pieces and it's part of a campaign, maybe that piece isn't customizable, but there's 3 or 4 static assets around it that they can customize or make work. Video also gets a little more difficult because obviously every time we have to reversion a video, is it a new voiceover? I have to go into video production? So those get a little more difficult just to customize, at least in any kind of mass quantity way. There's some great personalization tools in, that in video, for example, our friends at Vidyard have that might, give you some personalization to people that they can use, but it's not, the idea, if I want to be able to put a logo in every video, it gets a little more trickier.
That's great. That's funny because actually the next question we had was from Anna and it was talking about how they can fit video into your overall strategy. So obviously you talked about personalization. Yeah. Anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and video is one of those things, if we went back to the trend slides I was showing, that obviously it's a trend in content right now, right? I mean, everybody's moving towards video, even video and social posts. So video is definitely not something we want to ignore. I think where video can play a really, really important play here in the channel is definitely in the middle of support. I think that video demos of how to use your product, anything that you can use to educate with video is great. Remember that 90% of the people you're talking to and your partners that you're trying to train are salespeople. So we're all salespeople at heart. I know there's probably a lot on the call today, short attention spans, right? So we're trying to educate. So video plays in really great in the support. It also can be used to recruit. I think some great, videos about the benefit and value out of why to be in there. Again, gets a little more difficult when we get into an area where we need to customize in any kind of mass quantity.
Great. And knowing your husband is also a salesperson, and I'll make sure that he knows that you told him he has a short attention span.
Oh, he knows it.
So, all right. Well, again, this is great, Dana. We have time for one more. Let's go with, let's see, we have a few here. Let's go with Mike. He talks about many of our partners want us to spend their MDF funds on events. How can content play a role here? I think that's another great question because obviously events are a very important part of the strategy. So.
Yeah, it is a really good question, right? I think Channel grew up doing events because before all this was big content, we'd have local events, we'd meet and greet. Often the manufacturer or whoever is the main provider of this comes in and they do a presentation and we have a great event. And I still think there's a place for them and I still see a lot of partners doing successfully. I think with the trend to content here, we have an opportunity to not only better promote our events, but I think the focus should really be on how do I follow up after these events with content. Like any person, when we go to an event, right? I mean, we all exhibit at trade shows and we get all these leads and we think we're going to have all these great conversations, and then nobody responds to us after a conference. And so the key is, how do I continue to nurture them after an event? So thinking about ways, in most of these events, I know you're working one-on-one with those partners who are doing events. So how can you support them with some content that they can use for follow-up and nurturing those leads? Those leads are expensive leads on event. You guys have dumped a good amount of money into that event. So the worst thing to do is just have the event and let them go off. And if, you know, a couple of them turn great, but the rest of them that were there, we just let go. So if you can kind of arm your partner with, you know, a little mini campaign, 3 or 4 touches for a post event, you're going to see a much greater success of them turning those leads.
Yeah, that's great. And also, we just came back from an event last week, week before last, where I was at an event. I went to an event afterwards, and like the next day, I was already into the nurture. So really having that stuff set up prior to. So as soon as you get in against that speed to market. So again, because you know, with those conversations are being had there, and everything is, you know, rainbows and unicorns when you're speaking, and then the person gets back, and that avalanche of emails, and all of a sudden everyone's following up. So having your team set up prior to with these programs, so as soon as you get back, it's hitting, and it's like, okay, now remember. It's a great advice there.
Right. And you could come up with just kind of a general event package that you could use across your partners. So then it's not like you're, you know, recreating something every time. There's kind of this event follow-up campaign that they can have teed up and ready to go.
Right. You talked about a campaign in a box. So a campaign in a box for event follow-up.
For event follow-up. Right. Mm-hmm.
That's great. So, all right. Well, unfortunately, we are coming to the end. We are running out of time. But again, I wanted to thank you again, Dana, for the presentation. I want to thank the audience for submitting these questions. If we did not get to your question today, we do apologize. Well, obviously, Dana said her information to you. We'll follow up with you directly via email afterwards. Want to thank again the attendees for taking time to join us today and throughout the series. This is the last session in the series. You will be receiving a link to view to access on demand not only the session but the entire series. So we do again encourage folks to not only go back and review but also share with their colleagues. So again, we appreciate it. Hope you folks enjoyed this session as much as we did. And again, have a great day and enjoy your weekend. Bye bye now.
Bye everyone.